Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching the Political Vigilante. Well, amidst the war in the Ukraine, which America has definitely fueled, and it's a proxy war, and the war in the Middle East, but now it's basically just Israel bombing Gaza and killing innocent civilians on a daily basis, which is not Israel defending itself. That's genocide. And what happened is there's other very important issues. Not that that's not an important issue, but, I don't know. Climate collapse? Is that something maybe we should pay attention to? Climate change is speeding toward catastrophe. The next decade is crucial, the UN panel says. Okay, this is in the New York Times. A new report says that it's still possible to hold global warming to relatively safe levels, but doing so will require global cooperation, billions of dollars, and big changes. Earth is likely to cross a critical threshold for global warming within the next decade, and nations will need to make an immediate and drastic shift away from fossil fuels to prevent the planet from overheating dangerously beyond that level, according to a major new report released on Monday. Again, this came out. This was updated. This first initially was March, and then it was updated last month in September. The report by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, a body of experts convened by the United Nations, offers the most comprehensive understanding to date of ways in which the planet is changing. It says that global average temperatures are estimated to rise 1.5 degrees Celsius, which is 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit, almost 3 degrees Fahrenheit, above pre-industrial levels sometime around the first half of the 2030s as humans continue to burn coal, oil, and natural gas. Now, we just came off the summer in the United States, and do we all remember, just like in July, when the ocean temperature in Florida was in the mid-90s? We had floods and fires and everything else and record-breaking temperatures. We all were, that just like 3 months ago this happened. Remember July and August? The worst fire in the history of America happened in Maui because they had record droughts and 80-mile-an-hour winds. And water had been taken out of the Lahaina area starting in the late 1800s by the sugar barons, and that continued by the big resort hotels. Human-caused climate catastrophe. But what's really even more fascinating is that this country is now wanting to, I'll show you these several things. First of all, I'm queuing up other stuff. We'll get back to this article real quick. The Earth has already warmed an average of 1.1 degrees Celsius since the industrial age, and with global fossil fuel emissions setting records last year, the goal is quickly slipping out of reach. There is still one last chance to shift course, the new report says, but it would require industrial nations to join together immediately to slash greenhouse gases roughly in half by 2030 and then stop adding carbon dioxide to the atmosphere altogether by the early 2050s. If those two steps were taken, the world would have about a 50% chance of limiting warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. But, oh, look at this. This is the 2022 lobbying by major oil and gas. This is our good friends over at opensecrets.org, a website I highly recommend you look at. Look at these companies right here. Koch Industries, Occidental Petroleum, ExxonMobil, Chevron, Shell, and API have spent, this is the first quarter of 2022, nearly $2.8 million. The first quarter of 2022. This is last year. They've already spent more than this in this year, in 2023. And what is our brilliant Joe Biden government wanting to do? let me show you this, because war is profitable. Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman stocks notch best days in years amid Israel-Hamas conflict. Oh, best days in years. Oh, that's so great. Oh my God. I can't, that's so hooray for them. And then, wow, should we be? So if they're reviewing it or not reviewing, enjoying a big profit. So let's then look at this. Hold on. Give me a second, folks. So they're enjoying a record profit. So then, oh, wow. What is our, hey, we can certainly afford two wars. The U.S. Treasury Secretary says we can afford two wars. We can afford two wars. This is how psychotic our government is. Hey, Lockheed Martin, Northrop, all the big, their stocks are up. So what? War is good for business. The number one polluter in the world is the United States military, which funds, Israel is using American weaponry. We give Israel $3.8 billion a year, and we can afford two wars. No problem. So these wars are horrible for the environment, but they're profitable. And this is the other thing. We could afford this, no problem. It's just done. That two wars, book it. Medicare for all. We can't afford Medicare for all. We can't afford student debt forgiveness. We can't afford free college. We can't afford fixing our infrastructure. We can't afford a Green New Deal. We can't afford ending homelessness. We can't afford, getting off of fossil fuels. We can't afford any good things. We can't afford arts programs in our school. We can't afford school lunches. We can't afford that. Oh, we can't afford, we can't anymore. There's nothing, we can't afford light, high-speed rail coast to coast. We can't afford, better public transportation in all of our cities. We can't afford any of that, but we can afford two wars. Two new wars on top of all the other wars and bombing we're doing. Congress is about to approve an $880-some billion war budget, which our current one for 2023, $858 billion. And Janet Yellen, who runs the Federal Reserve, which we have shown on this show and on my other podcast with Lee Camp, Government Secrets, is an illegal banking cartel. It has nothing to do with the federal government. We can afford two wars. Always got money for war. Always got money for war. Follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth. And that's how you make Gotham great again. Folks, support our show. Super chats are back. You can also be a YouTube member. There's patreon.com/Graham Elwood. There's rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. We have a Venmo. It's all scrolling below at Graham-Elwood. If it doesn't have a dash between Graham and Elwood, it's not me. And I have a P.O. box at GrahamElwood.com if you want to stay anonymous. I even have some crypto wallets if you want to help out. But because no one in the corporate media is gonna go, hey, why are we spending all this money on war when people are living in tents in every major American city? When Americans can't afford basic necessities, when people have 2 and 3 jobs and still are drowning in debt? Our federal government could just wipe out all of our credit card debt and it wouldn't even blink. It could just say, we're giving checks to anybody with credit card debt. The federal government's paying it off. Oh, you should earn everything. Why? Why should we earn it? Wall Street doesn't earn. Big corporations don't have to. They just get bailed out. Why can't I get bailed out? Why can't all of our PPP and SBA loans just be wiped out by the federal government? Why not? Why can't they just do that? Oh, we got money for war there. We always have money for war. I'll keep calling them out because this is the People's Channel. Shave your knuckles for justice.